Welcome to Skip a Beat. I'm Julie Haymaker, and the first thing I'm going to do is show you what's in your kit, and this is our project. So if you purchase the kit, you'll get the bag of bead findings and fire line and flex wire and your toggle end clasp and crimp beads and crimp bead covers. You'll get the rubber cord. You'll have super glue, and you're going to have the gel type in your kit. I'm demoing it with a liquid, which is a little more difficult to work with because the things slide around in it, so you won't have to worry about that much with the gel. As you see me struggle a little bit with the regular. And then you'll have your pre-cuts and a stick. This is to create the bail. And your template for making future pieces if you want, and a link to the free class. I just want to talk about the pre-cuts. I used regular, and no, I didn't use regular. I used the gem tones for the heart and the bail and the flower. And for the background heart, I used white shrink plastic, and I sprayed it with a glimmer mist, which you can use shimmer opal or Imagine Art shimmer craft spray if you're not doing the kit. But this will come in your kit, so it's already done for you. So things that you need to supply. First of all, you'll need the bezel mold to make the flower. That's the Shrinkit bezel mold, and a heat gun to do your shrinking. And then I highly recommend a bowl to shrink your large flat pieces in to keep the heat contained in here and not having misshapen pieces. A bowl for shrinking and putting your flat pieces in it helps them heat evenly and keeps the heat circulating around, so you don't have one side cooling down while the other side is shrinking, therefore causing a misshapen piece that doesn't shrink uniformly. And then a wooden block or a book or something like that to lay on your flat pieces once you've shrunk them and they're still warm and you want to ensure that they shrink flat. And then when we make the bail, you don't need these, but if you have really sensitive fingers, you'll want gloves to protect them. And this is my basic hand forming kit that I sell on my site, and it's just a really nice little kit to have for hand forming, and I'm going to be showcasing this in the video when I make the bail. Okay, you're going to need fire line cutters, or that can be a nice sharp brand new titanium scissors, or any type of cutter for fire line, a bead zapper, fishing line cutter, or as I said, the scissors. Then this is a crimping plier. This is to put our clasp on, and wire cutters to cut our flex wire. You're going to need those. Then you're going to need colored pencils in, these are colors that I used, kind of a periwinkle blue, a warm yellow, a light aqua, and you can choose between these and this is another variation of light blue, and then a vermilion, and then a black. If you don't want to use a black colored pencil, you can use a Sharpie to create the black lines that I've used on this. So that's it, and let's get started. In this step, we're going to color our beads using colored pencils, and we've got the white one, which we're not going to color. We've got the red one. We've got the red heart, the bale, and a flower. And then I am going to be following the designs that I've done here, but you're free to do, welcome to do your own designs, whatever you feel like you feel comfortable with. So the first thing I want to do is take an eraser, and this is a gum eraser. And I'm going to get any pencil lines that off of the shrink plastic. The pencil lines will be on the frosted side. There shouldn't be any on this one because this was cut with a punch. So let's get the eraser shavings cleaned off. And get started. And I'm going to start with my heart. And feel for there's the shiny side, and there's our frosted side. So we'll place our frosted side up, and the colors I'm going to use on the heart are my black and my yellow and my aqua, pale aqua. So vermilion, a sunshine yellow or sunflower yellow in Holbein, and black. Prismacolor or Holbein, whatever you're comfortable using. So the first thing I'm going to do is fill the interiors of my circles with yellow. Now remember, this is my choice of how I've decided to approach the coloring of this. And this heart was cut out with using my gem tone shrink plastic, and that sold in sets of 4 color packs on my website, and it comes in a green, a pink, a yellow, and a blue. So you've already got the base color, a nice transparent base color to start with. So next I'm going to burnish a little off the edge of this vermilion, so I have a nice wide line to do my outlines around these yellow. And I may just move off of here to do this, so that I can see my yellow clearer. I want a nice broad line around there. That's why I burnished it. clean up any of that. Come in here and make sure that I've got all my yellow filled in. Bring this over here for my green dots. There should be a dot there. And there should be a dot there. There. Okay. Now I'm going to bring, now I've got a nice sharp tip for the black, and I'm just going to freeform this, but you can lay it over yours if you feel you need to. I turn this so that my X's go in different directions. There. Now I'm going to border this, and only do this if you're comfortable and feel you have a steady hand. So once again, I'm burnishing, so I have a nice wide border, and I'm coming around the perimeter with this, and notice how wide I'm getting that. And nice, I'm not doing chicken scratches. I'm giving it a nice line. Now, if you felt you were a little uneven, you can go back around again. And there. Okay. Next, we're gonna do the bail. And on these cross lines, you can freeform them, or if you don't feel comfortable enough doing that, you can use a ruler on them. I'm going to use, you can use either a spring green or a chartreuse, or whatever color you feel like it. I'm going to freeform, and so, I'm holding it tightly down and coming here on there. And if you felt like it, you could do these diagonals like in a blue, or more of an aqua if you wanted, or you can do them in the same color as I'm doing. And now, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to burnish down again so I have more of a broader tip on this. Use this, and this is where you can use your, I call this a periwinkle blue, a lake, sometimes it's called lake blue. In Holbein, it's called smalt blue, but it's a purpley blue. You could use a lavender on this if you wanted. And I'm going to do a border like I did before. I'm going to be doing that in this aqua-y green, so I'm burnishing. to give me that really broad look that I want. And if you don't feel confident in doing this, it's fine. I think I need to flip this over because I've got some colored pencil shavings in reds that are getting on there. And then I'm coming over this again to make sure that I get nice coverage. As I said, if you don't feel confident that you have a steady hand, then skip that. Then I'm coming in here with my black. And I have these two ready to go. Now, next I'm going to be my pencil shavings off of this, and I'm going to be doing my flower. And kind of, I burnished just a little bit. So a medium broad tip. Oops, I don't know why I'm turning that. I don't need to. They're all equal. I guess I'm turning it so that I don't have to move my hand. Lazy. Okay, I'm coming in here with aqua lines. And black dots out here. If you need to shift your flower around to hit the patterns, go ahead and do so. See how I've just shifted that over just a little bit? And on this, I'm not going to border it because I'm not going to be bordering this. I'm just going to let this be. Now, I could bring this green in here. I could freeform that, and I think I will. That's up to you. It's just an added detail. All right, and I'm ready to shrink. So we're ready to shrink, and I want to talk about why it's important to have a flat surface, such as a block of wood, and a container, and preferably something that is more heat resistant, like cardboard, wood, or my silicone bowl. This is from my hand forming kit. And this is because when heating flat surfaces like this, if they're out here and you've got air conditioning on in your house or a cool home of some sort in the winter or something, and you've got outside cool air coming in and then heat right here, the heat and the cool air is fighting a larger surface, and one area will not shrink as fast as the other area because just the cool air and the heat from the heat gun on a large surface. So when you put it in a container, you contain that heat and help it heat evenly. When it heats evenly, it has a better chance of shrinking exactly down to the same form it was and not being lopsided. And that's what we want in both of these cases. So let's get started. I'm heating out to the perimeter. I'm going to hold this sideways so you can see. And it's okay if it doesn't exactly at first fit into your container. It soon will when it starts to shrink down. See what I mean? And on this, it doesn't matter which side you're shrinking down, you know, which side you have up, shiny or flat or matte. My finger up, get this around so you can see. And I want it to stop moving on its own accord. And it basically has shrunk down and flattened back out as much as I think it's going to. And I'm going to flip it out here. And I'm going to place a block of wood on it. I'm going to just gently hold it down and count to 10. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010. And want to make sure it's nice and cool. And we have this beautiful, rich, colored piece. And so next I'm going to heat the larger heart, and I want to make sure that all of my colored pencil is off that. As I said, it's okay that it doesn't fit totally in here. At first, it quickly will. Now this one, because it's covered with glitter, may not totally flatten out. It may have a slight bow to it. You just need to notice, does it look like it's done shrinking and just moving by the heat? Yeah, that one did kind of flatten out. So I am going to flip this out. And I'm going to gently lay the block on it and count to 10. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010. And I have this nice little layer of hearts. Okay, now I'm going to do the flower, and I want I'm going to use the bezel mold for this. And I've decided that I want my flower to be matte, so I'm not shiny. Matte. So I'm going to put matte facing up. And I'm going to heat this. And normally I suggest that you go straight down like this, but you're not going to be able to see me shrinking it. So straight down about the heat gun at about the top of the pin, but you can't see me. So I'm going to be shrinking at the side so you can see it shrink. Then I'll put this block of wood over here to make the heat push back over here onto my bead. blow back over onto my bead. There, it's done shrinking. And I'm only going to count to 5, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. And I've got my little flower, of which will go right on the top of this. And next, I'm going to prepare to do the bail. Next, we're going to do the bail. And for this, I'm going to be heating it in the bowl. Once it's shrunk down, I will flip it over onto my warming pad. This is a cup warmer. And this will keep it warm and pliable for just a little bit while I take my fingers and hold this over it and let it cool into place. Okay? And if you don't want to use bare fingers, you've got your gloves that you can use for this. So this is to show you how to use the hand forming kit. So I will put the gloves on so you can see how those are going to be used. And I'm going to be taking the shorter end of the bail, the shorter tail, and folding it to about right here. Okay? Can you see that? So there'll be this much. That it is not folded from here to here. It's folded with a tongue, with an extra tongue here. Okay? And this is my stick that I'll have ready to put in the center of this to create the bail. So I have this ready to go to. So I'm going to be folding the shiny side over this. Okay, so I'll have shiny over here. But you can do it either way is correct. So right now we're just shrinking. You want to make sure it doesn't touch. So now so that the gloves are nice because I can get in there and the heat doesn't bother me too much. It's a bit of a protection. And it's done, pretty much done shrinking. So I'm going to bring it over here and I'm going to put it on this, right? And then I'm going to fold this over and it's staying warm. And now, I mean, that was very fast for me. And then I moved it off and I'm just letting it cool over here. And that was pretty easy. And you may not even need this. I don't need it, but I just wanted to show you if you're struggling with it and can't get it formed fast enough, this helps you. So there we are with our bail. And our bail goes right here. Let's lift it just a tiny bit. It will go right here on our piece. Okay? So I'm ready to do my embellishments on the top of my flower bead and attach it to the heart. So I'm going to get my assembly ready. I'm going to be using this silver bead cap and this orange and a black bead. And then I'm going to be using this and probably a little red bead behind it. And I'll show you how I'll use the red bead. So I'm going to take, here's my fire line, and this is 8 pound. And I'm going to cut, it looks like about a foot of that off, or about 8 inches is all I'm gonna need. So I'm gonna cut that off and set this aside. And then I can take any of these seed beads in here. Like there might be a white one here that I want to use because it's white and that won't show. And I strung it through and put it in the center here. And I'm not using a needle. And I have to decide, do I want matte or shiny here? And I want shiny. So I'm going to come up through the matte side of this in the back, right here. And I'm going to come up through my gear bead with one line of this. Pull this a little bit. So this line, this section is longer. And then I'm coming with one line up through here and up through here. Now, if you want to use a beading needle for this, you can. Coming through the back side of my bead cap. Coming through the back and the orange bead, single thread, coming through the black seed bead, and then down through the bottom of this, through the sequence. I bypass the black one. And come down through this sequence. Through the entire sequence. Through the entire sequence, out the back side. And pull. Pull. I want to make sure that I'm going to leave enough tail here to be able to tie off at the end, but I don't need a whole lot. If I need more at this end, then I'm going to come through my white bead, give myself a little slack, and I'm just going through the whole sequence again. Coming up through my whole sequence again, pulling this. Whoops, it came undone. But it stayed through my white bead, so. I am going to stop and put a needle on. I stopped and I put a number 10 needle on. I don't know why I get so stubborn about needles. It makes it so much easier. Coming up through my whole sequence. Don't let the needle, once I put it on, come undone. Go through the black bead. Carefully through the black bead. Down. And the only I'm stopping where my tail was and taking the needle off. Okay, now I've gone through my whole sequence twice. So things are nice and tight. And now all I have to do is pull this all really nice and tight. And make sure that gets nice and tight. Nice and tight. And then I tie off. So go around with my tie off. Once around, cross over, go around twice. This is called a surgeon's knot. And I do several of these to make sure that's going to stay securely. And that's how we put the flower on. Now I'm going to cut my line. I'm using a heat bead line cutter. Doesn't seem to be working. Maybe my batteries are dead. Well, I will cut it then with my lines. Get in there with an X-Acto knife blade and change out my batteries on that. So this is another way of cutting that I find really easy. I put the blade down on the on it and just cut and then pull there. So that's my little sequence, and it has a fun little spin to it. Next, we're going to do our little tassel, and I want to talk about the white here. Do not worry if you have little smears from the dust of the colored pencil on your white. Look how you can just gently take an X-Acto knife blade and gently scrape those off. Then I can take an eraser to it and clean it up. There. So I'm going to try not to be stubborn, and I'm going to use a needle. What we're going to do is the same thing. Well, I spoke too soon. No, I did not speak too soon. First of all, I'm going to run this through like so, okay? And then I will add, oh, where did it go? It rolled away, so I'm going to get a new one. I'm going to put a tiny gear bead on here. And now I'm going to thread my needle. And I'm going to do black and white and black and white, and then large black and silver spacer bead, orange, this little green bead. Make sure you're seeing that I'm in. I always have to check. I'm sitting down and I have to check that I'm in the picture plane. And then I'm going to put this wonderful little bright green seed bead on here, and I'm going to bypass it. Bypass it, come up through my whole sequence, come up through all of it and go out the back side. Okay, and then black and white, black and white, and then join the grouping right here by going down through the black, the large black, down through my whole sequence, there, through the green, loop through the green. Remember, we're bypassing the green, right? Bypass it, so we're creating a loop, coming back up through our sequence, and coming back up to where our tail is. Okay, there's where our tail is. And if we pull right here on our little green bead, we should be able to get this snug. Now I can take my needle off and I can pull, I should be able to pull my sequence with a knot. See, I'm able to pull that in and get this cute little droplet happening. And if you're finding that you can't do this, gently take sandpaper, a file, a nail file, anything. Nail file will do it too. See how I've made more clearance there? There. Now I'm pulling that tight, and I'm going to do my surgeon's knot around and around. And I'm pulling tight. And I'm going to pop that off. And around and around. And a third time. And what I can do with my tails is run it through a couple of beads here. There. And I'll just cut this one off. So I got one tail protected there. And I've got this cute little droplet down here. That's not, that green scraped on there when I got there, got that on there. So this is gonna rise up. So that's our next, that step. And then next we're going to be doing our little pieces along here, and we're gonna work on our necklace. So what we're gonna do now is the necklace, and we're gonna get a rubber cord out, and I've marked 2 inch, 3/4 inch, and 1 inch. And we're gonna cut our rubber cord in sections. And I want you to watch me do this before you decide how much you wanna cut yours. But we do know that the 2 inch one is gonna go under the bail. So we want that 2, or we could go one and a half. So any lengths like that. So I'm going to mark that 1.5. So you know you have all these choices. So I have a 2-inch section if I wanted to go under the bail. And then I'm going to cut one as a 1.5. I'm going to try to keep those lines straight. And then I think I'm going to go at 3/4. And I'm going to cut at least 6 of these. Notice how I kind of hold my finger on it, pick it up so that I can get a nice straight cut on it, not an angled. If I go down here, more than likely, if I try to cut it right here, I probably can't get it as straight as I would like, and I'd like that edge to be straight. So line these up. That one I'm a little over 3/4, so I'll just kind of eyeball them and make sure that they look pretty even. There, I've got 4. 5. I've got a fussy puppy. He thinks it's ice cream time. Okay, so I'm going to start with that for now. And I'm going to run this through in the center so I can kind of work as I go and see how this looks. And I want to make sure that that angle is pretty straight. Run that through there. Run my flex wire through here. Work back and forth on this at first. There. And that's my 1 3/4. I think I'm gonna like the 1 3/4, and I'm gonna design as I go. And there. We're ready to do the little spikes that protrude under the heart between the 2 layers. And the first thing I'm going to do is thread on a one of the small seed beads, and I'm going to put it right in the center. And then I'm going to add more beads, and this time I am not using the needle because I'm doubling up. See, I'm going through both threads now to add these beads on. And it's just hard to thread the needle with that. Whoops, I added 2 on. You can do whatever sequence you feel like. I'll show you the sequence I'm doing. And you could make all of these different if you wanted. You do not have to have them all identical. I'm going to make them identical. So this is the sequence that I am doing, and I've doubled them in. Then I'm coming through my square crystal bead back here, and I'm putting a seed bead on one line, one tail, okay? And then I'm just going to tie this off, and I'm tying it several times. I'm going to do a surgeon's knot, cross over, go around my tail, go around again, and tie off again. Now, if you'd wanted, you could have gone through there several times, but that makes this nice and stiff. And I'm going to do 5 more of those. So I have all 6 done, and I've cut the tails off of them, and here's the last one. And if you want, you can drop a tad of super glue on each tail of these if you want to make sure that the knot is holding. There. And then we're going to put, we're going to put this little guy on, and I'm going to drop a little bit of super glue on the back of this too, and in here too, to help hold that together. So we're going to line these guys up on the back, and I'm going to do one at a time and let the super glue get a little gummy or tacky for each one. Do one at a time. Put the I'm going to create a little bridge here to hold my flower in place. There. And I'm just putting this right on the edge of the plastic, like so. And just holding it and letting it dry. And I'm gonna do that for each one. I mean, I said that if you let it get a little gummy, you'll have better luck of it sticking down. That one's holding. Let's go for this one. Wants to stick to my finger, but not the plastic. So I'm holding it down with the pencil, and I'm just gonna be patient, let it stick. And a pencil really helps to hold it in place. Oops. They're lined up right side by side, and they're touching. That helps you a whole lot. Okay, and then I'll let that cure a little bit before I do the other side. Now I'm ready to do the other side, and I'm just eyeballing it. I'm going to put my super glue on here so it can start to get gummy. And I'm about right there. holding that in place with my pencil while it cures. Letting that cure, holding my pencil on it. Finger now. Whoops, this one needs to be redone, guys, because I forgot to put the red one on it. So I'm going to quickly do that while these are curing. Forgot to do that. So the next thing we're going to do is put our bail on. So I'm putting my super glue right there, and I'm sliding that into place. And now I'm going to let that cure. So I've got the red one on there, and I'm going to place that in position. Get a little glue on there. And it does go faster on my fingers than it does, dries faster on my fingers than it does on the non-porous surface. I'm going to drop a little bit on that knot, and I'm going to let this cure. Next, we're ready to glue the heart onto the background. So we're going to put our super glue here on these square beads, and we're just placing it on here, and we're visually lining it up, and we're going to let that cure. And once that's cured, our piece will be done. So we are done, and our little piece is dry. And this is what it looks like on the back. And this is what it looks like on the sides. I hadn't mentioned these guys can, move, and I hadn't mentioned that the cube beads are a 6mm cube bead. So that's it, and thanks for joining me.